when you travel in Hawaii and you come to a small city or a little village, you often don't see like a speed limit sign, let's say 30 kilometers an hour. No, you might see an old surfboard nailed to a tree with two large words painted on it. Try it slow. I know it's surprising, pretty much everybody drives slow. And this actually inspired me to come up with the word try long term. And try long term captures the essence of what we're working on in the last 10 years at the intersection of short-term actions and long-term visions. It's a very fascinating dilemma or challenge, actually, that we all experience. But I personally believe that the long-term thinking is a key success factor in our uncertain times to navigate those uncertain times. And I'll share 3 learnings or observations with you from that work. And the very first one is about patience. And I can share a very personal story with that describes patience very well. In 1993, I was finishing my studies at economics at the University of Bern, and I wrote my master paper about with Professor Richard Kühn, the marketing and entrepreneurship professor, and the topic was a marketing situation analysis for bicycles with electric motor assistance. That was 1993. The term electric bike did not exist yet. We only then later came up with that. And here's actually a quite historic picture. It's in 1998. This is the core team of the Flyer Group. And it's not only historic because of our fashion styles of the 90s. It's also historic because on this picture you see 3 generations of our Flyer electric bikes. The very, very first prototype, there was the red Buffalo in the middle with a car battery and a car windshield wiping engine that propelled it. It wasn't looking very pretty, but it was really fast and really fun, and it showed the potential of it. And on the left side, you see the Flyer Classic. In 1995, it was the first serial product electric bike in Switzerland that we sold. And on the right side, you see the first prototype of the new Flyer, the next generation that we radically invented, like fully suspended, a real battery pack. It was designed for the city and for downhill fun in the mountains, because we were all bike enthusiasts. And this, in the year 2000, was actually our top-of-the-line product. And looking back, I can honestly say we were 15 to 20 years too early. The market wasn't ready for that. And we had to adapt the company structure, we had to adapt the product line to then make it a success only afterwards. So this first example shows that, especially in our lives in general, we need to be patient, but especially with innovations, as an entrepreneur and also as an investor, we do need a lot of patience. So now, when we're confronted with a new development, how do we assess or how do we think about the potential in the future? Especially when there's a product where there's no benchmark. You cannot look at others, how they did it. So it's a really important question because we don't know yet how this is going to evolve. And there was Roy Amara. He was a computer scientist in the 1960s. And he made this famous quote that we overestimate the impact of technology in the short term, and we underestimate the effect in the long run. And I thought, this is very helpful already, but what means the effect in the long run? Is this good or bad? Or is it good or bad for whom? Who will be the winners? Who are the losers? And for a long time, following the money was a very helpful concept to trigger down who is going to be a winner or a loser. But in the recent years, 10, 20 years, we amassed massive amount of debt on a national level, on corporate level, on a private individual level. So following the money leads us down the wrong path, because money somewhat came abundant. So we thought, what could be the next helpful, reliable source? And we came up with the follow the values. Values do change, but they only change over time. They don't change from day to day. And let's put this concept follow the values to the test. And let's use AI, artificial intelligence, as our example. So AI is developed in the US, in Silicon Valley, and in China. So the value systems of these two powers are embedded at the code of the AI, inherited. So one system is a tough dictatorship. The other system is a hardcore business monopoly builder. Both systems are highly efficient and highly extractive. So both value systems are not aligned with my personal values and probably are not aligned with most of the values of us here today. So we can quite accurately assume how our world will look like in 20 to 30 years if we do not come up with an AI system driven by Swiss or even European values. That's my personal belief, and in 20 years we'll see. So with this, I come to my third topic that I want to share with you. I start with two questions. One is a simple one, one is a more difficult one. The simple one is, who of you today thought about what you're going to do tomorrow? Sunday, with your family, maybe what you're cooking, what project you're on work on, maybe raise your hand. But who thought today about tomorrow? So pretty much everyone. So who of you today thought about what is going to be in 265 years? Raise your hand. It makes sense, It's so far away, it doesn't make sense. But this is actually, since 10 years, one of my main projects I work on. And I can tell you how I had the idea. It was in 2015, and I was looking back as an economist, at the financial crisis 07-08. And I had to say I was frustrated because I was also disappointed. Because I thought, in the crisis in 07-08, I thought, okay, we see the system doesn't work. We have to do our homework and build a more resilient economic system. But what did we do instead? We printed money like no one, not ever before in the history of humankind. We printed money and we came up with a handy system of negative interest rates. So I give you money if you take my money. For some economists, this is a brilliant idea. For some, it's purely toxic. As you can guess on which side I sat. So I was frustrated because I didn't have an answer. So this is anger for me. I was angry a little bit even. And anger for me is always good, is also energy. So, and then I read a book. I read a book about the 7th-generation thinking of the native people. Simplified, it means like if you and I design together something, we have to think about 7 generations if this design will be good for 7 generations after us. It's absolutely impossible. And this, I had goosebumps. Well, I knew this is the solution. I have to think 200-300 years ahead. It's absolutely impossible. As a marketer, I thought, well, 2091, this marks the 1000-year anniversary of Switzerland. That's the hook. And, in order to make this a good party, it has to make good decisions already today. It starts already today. So you might think this is a little bit like an unusual concept, but I can show you how very concrete we can embed short-term action and combine it with long-term visions. And we have the biggest and boldest project so far with 2191 is we are making a bench. So this is generation thinking. We're making a bench. And why a bench? Because we thought, where can we, in a very polarized world, where people are angry at each other and everything, so where can we actually calmly and openly discuss very different ideas? We thought, then we sit down. Then we sit on a bench, on a mountaintop, on a lake, in a restaurant, at home. So, okay, let's do a bench. And then we made a bench with the numbers 2, 2, 9, and 1 out of wood first as a prototype. And people reacted really well to it. They said, that's nice. Then they thought, wood is going to rot away until in 200-300 years. So we have made it from natural stones. And then we thought, why don't we put the number 2291, 4 numbers? We take a natural stone for each number of each of the 4 Swiss regions. And we make 4 benches, then we place in all of the 4 regions of Switzerland. And once all benches are placed, we then actually combine it with a 20 to 91 future run, so that we combine bench A to bench D with a run. So this is probably around 400 kilometers then. But you can also make it in stages. For families, little kids, maybe handicapped people, they make a small step. But it's something that then they hopefully will combine all Switzerland with a 2091 future run. And what the good news is, the first bench, 9.3 pounds heavy, will be finished in the next few weeks. So this actually is a Tridentine stone, Naturen. This is around 2.5 tons. And this will be turned, is right now turning into number 2, the first number 2. The second number 2 is already finished, with a stone from Igio. The number 9 is finished with a sandstone from the Zurich Lake for the cistern part. And the number 1 is from Graubünden, the Halankatal gneiss. So we have these 3 hums already. Once this is finished, the first bench is here in all the different quarries in these 4 quarries in Switzerland. So now the next challenge is, where do we put the bench? Now you come in, because this is the future dialogue. We want to ask people, where should we put the bench? So my personal dream is that the bench once will be placed in the Bundesterrasse, right in front of Bundeshaus, with the view to the Alps, where the most important political decisions are made. And the beauty actually is that the Bundeshaus was built at the time with stones from all quarries from all across Switzerland. So in a small way, I didn't even know that, in a small way, with this 2091 bench, we did the same thing. So we hope we are to eventually get the permissions. And you see now how this short-term action, the question where to put the bench, I can tell you, it's always about the permissions. It's very, very tricky, because people look at me, what are you doing with these numbers? It's just a number, it's long-term thinking. It's a 1,000-year anniversary. You have to think about it. And so this is, for me, an example to show how short-term action and long-term vision go together, because we have now effects already. And people will sit on these benches in the decades to come and in hundreds of years to come. They're 903 tons heavy. They're not so easy to stick. So in that regard, I encourage people also to try long-term, because it's my firm belief that it provides orientation and motivation. If you're short-term, like letting move around and shaken by all these things you experience, then you have a long-term plan. You somehow are more able to actually navigate the problems short-term, because you have a long-term plan. And with this, I come to my final thought. And this is with Carlo Rischetti, a quote from Carlo Rischetti. He is a philosopher and artist, was from Bern. And he said, in the beginning, it's always only a few that are beginning. So in that regard, and for the long-term thinking, we need more beginners. Thank you.